Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my first impressions plus on-feet video of the brand new Adidas X 15.1 Boost indoors. Now inside the box, all you get are the shoes themselves. They do not come with any extras. So let me get these guys out of the box really quickly, and we'll take a closer look at the X 15.1 Boost Indoor, which is only available in an indoor variation, by the way, and technically isn't the only X 15.1 indoor on offer. There's a non-boost variation as well, which doesn't have a boost foam outsole and also features an upper that's kind of its own unique thing. There will be a video on those very soon on the channel, so stay tuned if you are interested in learning more about those. But for today's video, we're going to be focusing on the X 15.1 Boost, which there has been a little bit of confusion about that I wanted to explain right off the bat. Depending on which website you go to order these things, they may display it as an X 15.2 Boost, which is inaccurate. This is actually an X 15.1. It says that on the box, and even on the insole, which I can kind of show you guys. The insole is non-removable, but you can pretty clearly see on the inside it does say X 15.1, despite this not actually having the X 15.1 upper. More on that a little bit later in the video. Another thing worth noting is that some of the pictures do vary based on what is shown on certain websites. What happens is when there's a shoe that has a very long pre-order, like these did have, because the retailers don't actually have their stock right away, they're sent pre-production samples from whatever company it may be, in this case Adidas, just so they can have pictures ready for when these shoes do go on pre-order, even though they don't have their stock to sell yet. Sometimes those pre-production samples are different from the final product, which was the case here with the X 15.1 Boost. So you'll find some that say Boost right here on the upper. That's inaccurate. This is exactly what you'll get regardless of which picture is shown if you do order the X 15.1 or the X 15.2 Boost. If it's 15.2, again, it's inaccurate. It's actually a 15.1. There is no 15.2 Boost. So that's something, again, I just wanted to clarify right off the bat, is that some retailers are showing pre-production versions of the shoe that are not necessarily accurate to what the final product actually is. So if you guys are interested in learning more about the new X 15.1 Boost, please stick around and watch the entire video. We're going to go over all the tech specs and really talk about what this shoe has on offer, because it's somewhat of what I would call a Frankenstein shoe, and I'll explain why in just a second. If you guys are interested in a pair of these for yourself, be sure to check out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. On that page, you will find Buy It Now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you will be able to pick these guys up below their normal $110 retail price. So with that being said, let's get right into the review. So what's on offer when it comes to performance with the X 15.1 Boost? Like I just mentioned at the start of this video, this is somewhat of a Frankenstein shoe, and the reason why I say that is because for some confusing reason, the upper on this shoe combines elements of the X 15.1, the X 15.2, and the X 15.3, which is just really, really odd and something I've never seen before. It took me 20 minutes of just searching this shoe to understand exactly what was going on, because when I first took it out of the box, I was extremely confused, and the tech specs are totally not clear with this particular shoe. Adidas hasn't really given any tech specs because I think they know they did something not so great with this particular model. So first thing that you have to keep in mind before we even get into what exactly is happening here is the retail price. These guys retail for $110 US, which is relatively expensive for a pair of indoor shoes. That's top quality price. Obviously not the most expensive shoe that money can buy as far as indoors go. You can get more expensive models from Nike, but you know with those models you're getting the top end upper, you're getting top quality, and you're paying for it as well. So at $110 with the X 15.1 Boost, giving it that top end model name, you expect top end quality, and that's not exactly what you're getting here, which again, very surprising. Now right away you're going to notice that this is not the X 15.1 upper, it's not even the X 15.2 upper, it's the X 15.3 upper with the heel cut of an X 15.1 and the Tech Fit collar design of the X 15.2, which is again fairly unacceptable given the $110 asking price for this particular model. So X15.3 upper, that's taken from a firm ground shoe that retails for $70 US, not $110. $110 gets you a pair of X15.2s, which I think should have at least been the upper, if not the X15.1 upper that they would have included on the X15.1 indoor. But that's something that obviously Adidas decided not to include for whatever reason. So X15.3 upper, how's the quality? It's not terrible, but it certainly isn't premium, and it certainly isn't up to par with other $100 indoor shoes or $100 plus indoor shoes that are currently available from other brands, including Adidas themselves. This is a synthetic material that is definitely thicker than what you're going to find on the X15.1 and X15.2. Those two shoes are actually quite similar when you're talking about the upper material. It's thicker, it's somewhat soft, it's fairly flexible, it's not uncomfortable on your foot, but it does feel clunky in comparison to the higher end models in the X line. And again, I think when you buy a shoe like this, you're expecting top quality. If you're looking for a premium barefoot feel, you're just not going to get that here. The synthetic is not that thin, despite it being fairly comfortable and fairly flexible on your foot. It is finished off with this kind of artificial carbon fiber look, so it does have somewhat of a slightly grippy finish to the touch. You do have the Chaos graphic on both the lateral and medial side of the shoe, which is purely a graphic on the X15.3 upper. It's just painted on here on the medial side, whereas on the lateral side it is painted on as well, but you do have some embossing where the actual graphic is positioned, which I think looks kind of cool but offers no performance benefit whatsoever. Moving on to the heel portion of the shoe, it does have an internal plastic heel counter, so it's similar to all the other models within the X line in that regard, but the heel is cut a little bit taller and comes to more of a point, so it's the same cut as what you're going to find on the X15.1. Again, not sure what the reasoning is. I suppose that's the only correct element considering this is technically an X15.1, but like I said, that's the only element you're going to get from that top end $220 X15.1 firm ground model. Now the heel lining as well as the Tech Fit collar is taken directly from the X15.2. So it's the slightly thicker, kind of stretchy, elasticated neoprene material, not the thinner one you're going to find on the X15.1. It attaches below the little cutout in the tongue, similar to the X15.2 again, so it extends a little bit longer than what you'll find on that 0.1 model, and it has pretty much the same feel as the rest of the X line. It's a sensation where it is a little bit more tricky to get the shoe on and off, in that it kind of compresses your foot in this area of the shoe, which I really like the feel of. It feels very comfortable, although it really doesn't offer any performance benefit at all, I should say. There's no extra ankle support or anything like that. It's just there to provide kind of a cool feel on your foot, and it definitely does achieve that. You can see that the lining material is also made from that same very smooth, somewhat slick neoprene. There's plenty of padding in the heel liner, so again, it's very comfortable out of the box. But because of this material being a little bit on the slicker side, it does slide against your socks pretty easily. So you will encounter some very minor issues with heel slippage, especially if you don't tie your shoes very tight. Heel slippage can be a major issue, but as long as you tie them tight enough, you still may run into some very minor heel slippage, but nothing that I would say is detrimental to the performance, something you will get used to, something that might even go away. But something definitely worth mentioning in the long run if you are planning on picking up any of the Adidas X models, not just the X15.1 Boost, because they kind of all have the same similar slight heel slippage issue due to this heel lining material. The insole is non-removable, it's glued in, which is not uncommon for Adidas indoor models, especially the ones with this Boost outsole, but something that I think is somewhat unacceptable given the price range of this shoe. I think at $100+ you expect a removable insole. Not that it's detrimental to the overall performance, but again, definitely worth mentioning. And then of course you have the laces on this shoe, which I just can't explain. They are extremely chunky. Some websites do show different laces than what you're going to see right here, but again, this is the retail variation, so if you order a pair, this is what you're going to get. It has like rope laces. This is something you would expect to find on like a basketball shoe or a baseball cleat or something like that, but on a soccer shoe, they look kind of cool, but fairly unacceptable in terms of just the amount of extra bulk that you're getting purely from the laces. So if you're buying these, expect to be disappointed with the laces because they look cool, but certainly not something you would want on a pair of soccer shoes. Moving on to the outsole, this is their Boost Foam outsole that's made specifically for an indoor soccer cleat type of use. It's the same Boost outsole that we saw on the Free Football Boost indoors, which are no longer in production. They've kind of been replaced by this new line of Boost models, the X, the Ace, and of course the Messi Boost. But nothing's changed. It's the same type of thing. So if you're looking for a more substantial amount of underfoot cushioning, nothing that's too low profile, this is exactly what you want. Now, Boost foam is interesting. It's this styrofoam looking material, and essentially what it is, instead of being a solid chunk of foam, it's actually these little kind of plastic pellets that are very, very dense and extremely good at storing and releasing energy. So because you have all these little pellets that are fused together, when pressure is applied, each of these individual pellets compresses and then releases that energy very, very good. It has this kind of bounce back effect, and it's very durable foam as well. It doesn't really bottom out. It doesn't compress fully ever. It compresses and bounces back to its original shape every single time. It's unaffected by weather, it's unaffected by water, it's unaffected by pretty much anything. It's extremely durable, and if you're looking for consistency from your cushioning in any shoe, whether it's an indoor soccer shoe or a running shoe, Boost foam is definitely the way to go. Now, with this particular shoe, in comparison to a lot of Boost runners, you're not going to get that same kind of spongy underfoot sensation, mainly because you do have a thicker layer of kind of a standard, more dense foam running across the top of the shoe just to maintain stability, which is of course required from a pair of indoor soccer cleats of any kind. So you're not necessarily going to get that squishy effect when you slide these on your foot, but when you are running around on hard indoor court or any kind of hard flat surface, you're going to notice that you're not going to have issues with kind of your feet feeling the impact really heavily. They're just comfortable to wear, but that does come at the cost of having some significant bulk through the heel and midfoot. They're not low to the ground at all. Even the toe is a little bit clunky, so if that's something that you can live with, I personally don't mind it. That's worth noting if you were planning on picking these up, because I know a lot of people like something that's very thin, very low to the ground, and has minimal bulk in the toe, forefoot, and heel area. That does not describe these things at all. You do have this big rubber lip that extends around the toe and forefoot. That's great for durability. It's going to allow for a strong bond between the sole plate and the upper. And then of course the outsole, which is available in an indoor variation only, features a thick layer of solid rubber around the edges and then a layer of rubber through the middle that has this kind of crisscross pattern revealing the actual Boost foam kind of in between the cracks of the sole. That's pretty much completely smooth. It's got a good thickness to it, and on indoor courts or even concrete or asphalt, whatever hard flat surface it may be, it performs really, really well. If you want to use these on turf, they're pretty much completely flat and you're not going to have any grip at all. So again, as long as you're sticking to flat surfaces, not only are you going to get pretty decent traction, you're going to get pretty decent durability as well. So that's pretty much it as far as what's on offer with the X15.1 Boost indoors. Again, it's a Frankenstein shoe. It's not for everybody. I don't agree with a lot of the things Adidas has done on this particular model, but if you can live with what I just told you, then by all means, consider the X15.1 Boost. It's actually a half decent shoe. In terms of weight, I thought we'd compare the weight of the firm ground AG version of the X15.1 to the indoor X15.1 Boost, just to see what the difference actually is. So keep in mind, these are both in brand new condition and both the exact same size 9 US, so this is a very fair comparison. We'll start off with the X15.1, throw it on the scale. They weigh in at 7.8 ounces, the equivalent of 221 grams, which is relatively lightweight. You expect the firm ground version to almost always be lighter than the indoor variation, just because plastic can often be a lot lighter than a foam and thick rubber outsole. Now in the case of the X15.1 Boost, we'll throw it on the scale. It of course has the X15.3 upper and a pretty substantial Boost foam and rubber outsole, and as you guys can see by the results on the scale, they weigh in at 10.2 ounces, the equivalent of 289 grams. So a pretty significant weight difference. Definitely something that you're going to notice both in hand as well as on feet. I wouldn't say that the X15.1 Boost is heavy, but it certainly isn't lightweight either. It's kind of right there in the middle. It has a very substantial feel on your foot, I guess is the best way to describe it. So if you were planning on picking these up, hoping to have the same type of on-foot sensation as what you're going to get with the X15.1 outdoor shoe, it's similar in the heel due to its tech fit and similar liner, but everything else about this shoe is entirely different from the standard X15.1, which is definitely worth keeping in mind if you were planning on picking these up, for the simple reason that you have a pair of X15.1 outdoors. In terms of aesthetics, I kind of like how these things look. Call me crazy, but this is kind of a cool looking shoe. This is of course the launch color of the X15.1, so it's neon yellow with the black accents. Being that this is the 15.3 upper, you have the black paint speckling, but not the blue paint speckling within the Chaos graphic, your X branding on the tongue, the Adidas logo on the heel, these really odd neon yellow and black combo rope laces. And then of course the outsole has that top layer of foam that's neon yellow in color. It says Boost right there on the lateral side, which is kind of cool. You of course have the Boost foam, which a lot of people just think looks like styrofoam, and to a certain extent it does, but I kind of think it looks cool on this particular shoe. It goes with the rest of the wacky design that you're gonna find here on the upper. And then of course you have the black kind of exposed around the outside edge of the outsole that you're gonna see while you're wearing, and then while you start running, it starts to expose that neon yellow there on the rest of the outsole. So overall, I kind of think they're cool. They're certainly not for everybody. You know, there's lots of people who are going to leave comments saying these things look absolutely horrible, but everyone has their own opinion. Let me know yours down below in the comment section. Do you love these? Do you hate these? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the on-feet portion of the video so we can get a better idea as to how these shoes fit and of course what the sizing is like. All right, so here is a look at the X15.1 Boosts on feet. In regards to the laces, I know a lot of you guys are going to ask about my left foot and why the laces aren't tucked into the side like they are on my right foot. That's because these laces are so thick, I can't actually tuck them in. The reason why I tuck them in the first place is because one, it's always something that I've done with my soccer shoes just to get that little bit of bulk off the top of my foot. Plus, it allows you guys to get a cleaner look at how the shoes fit in general. You don't have all that extra mess in front. Like I said though, with these laces, they just don't fit. So on my left foot, I do have the stock laces that come with the shoes. And on my right foot, I have a pair of black and neon yellowed speckled SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, be sure to check out the website www.sr4ulaces.com. You find a direct link to that website down below in the description of this video. Now in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, they're actually very comfortable shoes from right out of the box. The upper, while it isn't the most premium, does feel good against your foot. It doesn't have the same thin, really light, flexible sensation that you'll get from the 15.2 or 15.1 upper. But the 15.3 upper, like I said, doesn't feel bad on feet. It's just a little bit clunkier, but certainly not uncomfortable. As far as the Boost foam is concerned, the underfoot cushioning is really, really good, kind of as you would expect. With that said, they certainly aren't overly low to the ground, so if you're looking for that low profile kind of barefoot sensation when you're running around, you're just not going to get that from these. This is more of a running shoe style kind of indoor soccer cleat, in that you do have a substantial amount of underfoot cushioning and general bulk under your feet, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's more about preference, and I personally prefer something like this over something very low profile like you might get from the Mercurial X line. In terms of the fit of the shoe, it's got some decent width to it. It does have a tighter fit overall, but certainly not one that feels restrictive. And as long as you don't have overly wide feet, you shouldn't have any issues in regards to the overall fit of this shoe. Again, it doesn't really feel too much like the X15.1, the firm ground version, because it does have the 0.3 upper. Like I said, it feels a little bit clunkier on feet, but the fit in the heel is actually pretty good. Very similar to what you're going to find on the X15.1. Some very, very minor heel slippage at first, but as long as you tie them tight and you get the right size, it's not something that should be too much of an issue for you. In regards to sizing, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. Alright guys, that's it for my first impressions of the X15.1 Boost indoors from Adidas. Expect to see more content on this shoe on my channel in the near future, so stay tuned for that. If you guys are interested in a pair of these for yourself, be sure to check out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. On that page, you will find high quality images of this shoe that I took myself that'll give you a better idea as to some of the close-up details that you might not see in the online stock photos. And of course, you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal $110 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair for yourself, first link down below in the description, go ahead and check it out. If you have any questions at all regarding the X15.1 Boost, leave them down below in the comment section, and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.